If you hike often enough, sooner or later you will get injured. Question is, how bad can you treat it yourself, and at what point do you call for help? Today we're talking about the most common injuries that hikers get, how to treat them, and when you might need to evacuate. So let's check it out. Okay, first things first, I am not a medical professional, but I did take a Wilderness Advanced First Aid course. All that to say, I'm not technically qualified to give you medical advice, so follow all these recommendations at your own risk. And with that out of the way, probably the #1 cause of injury in the backcountry is from friction. When you're hiking, you're obviously moving a lot, and if your feet, your toes, your thighs, or anything else is rubbing, you are going to get a blister. And the only way to prevent this is to stop the rubbing. In the long term, that probably means different shoes, but when you are out on trail, a little Leukotape or duct tape goes a long way to stop blisters before they form. I typically put this on my heel as soon as I feel a hot spot, but before a blister forms. If you tend to get blisters on your toes, you might consider some toe socks or a shoe with a wider toe box. But if you fail to prevent a blister, it will heal faster if you don't pop it. In those cases, I'll usually make a small cushion to protect it from rubbing open. And you probably won't ever have to evacuate because of a blister, but we will talk about some of those injuries that need to be evacuated as soon as possible later in this video. So I don't typically get blisters, but I do get hiker's toe, which is basically a damaged toenail. This happens from your toenail repeatedly hitting the front of your boots, and once your toe looks like this, you are probably going to lose that nail. But don't worry, unlike most body parts, it will grow back. What typically causes this is either shoes that are too small or not trimming your toenails, especially before a long descent. And in my experience, you don't typically feel this happening, so it's best if you're vigilant before it starts and trim those toenails. The good news is it doesn't really hurt. Either that or I've done it so much I've lost sensation in that toe. And so if you are picking up on a trend here, most hiking injuries involve your feet, and a sprained ankle is no exception. This is the first injury that you might need to evacuate because you probably aren't going to feel like finishing the rest of your 5-day hike on a swollen ankle. But if you can walk on it, it's best to slowly hike out. After you manage the swelling, soak the injury in a cold stream and then brace it like this using medical tape. But if you can't walk on it, you're probably going to need professionals to come and get you, which means calling SOS on a device like Zoleo. Speaking of which, if you want to stay safe out in the backcountry, you're going to need some supplies like a good first aid kit, a satellite communicator, and more. And Moose Jaw has everything you need to stay safe out on the trail. Look, you can go find lots of lists of stuff that you need for a good first aid kit. There are tons of resources out there, but I find it's a whole lot simpler to just buy a ready-made kit like the Adventure Medical Kit 0.5 or 0.9, both of which are available at today's sponsor, Moose Jaw. They have first aid kits, moleskin, blister treatment, not to mention all the gear that you need to keep yourself from getting hurt to begin with. And if you use the code MLOMJ, you can get 10% off most things Moose Jaw sells, 5% off things that are already on sale. Some exclusions do apply. I'll put a list down in the description of the first aid kits and other medical supplies that I recommend, so go check it out. If you saw my video from a few weeks back, then you know that me and my friend recently became mildly hypothermic after hiking all day in the rain. We got to camp maybe 5 hours ago, and we were wet and we were cold. And you know it's dangerous because I stopped filming. So I want to talk about hypothermia a bit, especially as we move into the winter season, even though hypothermia is just as common in summer rainstorms as it is in the winter. And I mainly want to talk about this to dispel some of the overly confident myths that I found in my comment section. Hypothermia happens when your core body temperature drops below 85 degrees Fahrenheit. It first manifests itself as uncontrollable shivering, loss of coordination, and eventually leading to mental confusion. The only cure for hypothermia is warmth, and many people have been brought back from what seemed like frozen death simply by warming them up, causing many search and rescue teams to live by the motto, no one is dead until they are warm and dead. Now, a few weeks back, we experienced uncontrollable shivering and a loss of coordination, and ultimately were able to regain our temperature by simply getting out of our wet clothes and into our dry sleeping bags. The only reason why this worked is because we still had the ability to shiver. If our temps had dropped any lower, we would have stopped shivering, and at that point we would have needed an outside source of heat to bring up our temperatures. Many people in the comment section criticize us for not starting a fire. The only thing I can determine is that these people have never tried to start a fire in a downpour, especially when you're experiencing a loss of coordination. Trying to do so would have only pushed our temperature lower to the point that we would have become mentally confused, making it even more difficult. But if our condition had progressed past the point of shivering, the next best option would have been to heat up some water, pour it into some bottles, and throw that into our bags to bring up our core temperatures. But enough about hypothermia. Let's talk about an injury that's almost always going to need evacuating, and that is a broken bone. Now, evacuate doesn't always mean call search and rescue. You might be able to evacuate yourself by bracing your leg, or more likely with someone's help, because this would be really difficult to do to yourself. So I'm going to use my wife as an example. I'm going to show you exactly what you can do using supplies you're most likely to have with you, specifically a sleeping pad, a towel, and some bear line.
Fold the sleeping pad to fit the length of the patient's leg, being sure to keep the valve accessible. Roll a small towel or bandana up into the pad on the foot end and tie to make a loop. Carefully place the pad under the patient's leg and place something soft under their knee to prevent their knee from locking. Using bear line or other cord, make multiple loops along the leg, being sure to use padding to prevent circulation from being cut off. Then inflate the pad and check for circulation, sensation, and movement at the toes.
If you're able to hike out on your own with someone's help, then great. If not, then call for help anytime the limb is not usable or bone has broken through the skin. And then the last injury that will always need evacuation is any type of head injury. Head injuries are difficult because the person is often able to walk out on their own. The problem is the only cure for concussion is both physical and mental rest, which can be very difficult in the backcountry. If you can hike out with minimal physical exertion, that's great. But if it's going to be days to hike out, you may be best to call search and rescue for extraction. Head injuries can often seem fine at first, but quickly develop into life-threatening situations, especially if the person has lost consciousness. This happened to my wife last year, and take it from me, you can quickly feel in over your head. So how do you know when an injury is bad enough to evacuate? Well, Zoleo recently came out with Medical Assist that allows you to message a doctor even without cell phone service. And I'm not just talking about this because I'm a Zoleo ambassador. In fact, I recently tested this by faking a patella dislocation. It's one of the few injuries that can be successfully treated in the field by simply straightening your leg, even though I admit that would be very painful. I told them what theoretically happened to me, and they gave me instructions on how to treat myself. And that's one of the reasons why I'm a Zoleo ambassador, because they're constantly trying to improve with services you actually want to use. And so if you're ever confused about what you should do when you're miles away from cell phone service, you ought to check it out, or consider taking a wilderness first aid course. That's all I got for this week. Please like, subscribe, and do all those other things. And as always, thanks for watching.